All right, welcome to the Calling All Heroes Comics podcast. We are back, and I am George. I'm joined by Wolz.
Hey.
Gary.
Hello.
And our special guest this week, David.
How's it going?
All right, guys, we're going to jump right in this week. We're hoping we might hear from Tim here in a little bit.
Let's hope.
So that would be nice, and I know he had some things he wanted to weigh in on Legacy, so might be a good idea to give him a few minutes and,
sure.
and hopefully pipe in with us. Just a couple quick things I wanted to touch base on. On October the 28th is the Halloween Comic Fest 2017. It's a lot like Free Comic Book Day. We're getting 900 books in. There's a total of 12 different titles. They're all 100% free. If you've been to Free Comic Day or last year's Halloween Day or Wonder Woman Day or Batman Day, you know, you come in, there's some food, there's some snacks. I'm not going to name any names, David, but some people like the sandwiches more than the cupcakes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's free comics and it's free food and drinks and, a good time. We just had Batman Day a few weeks ago, and it was cool because we had something sponsored by DC Comics. They had an activity table, so we had like a coloring table with markers and pencils and crayons, courtesy of DC, and I was really. You were here.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was really cool how many kids came in and sat down and really got into it and stuff.
That's neat.
Yeah. And it's funny because here I find more often than not we'll have guys that come in that are our ages, and they might have kids, but the kids are usually staring at their cell phones. And so I thought, man, is this going to seem outdated or cheesy? But there were kids coloring and drawing and doing all the games and stuff at the table the whole day. I mean, I thought it was really cool.
I think it's so foreign to them now, like when they see something that's like a cool activity. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up on doing things like that, but when I think kids they're like, oh, what's that? You know,
That's
what's
a
that
great
beyond?
point.
What's that beyond our electronic realm there?
Well, it was happening at the Comic-Con.
Yeah.
They had tables. I walked by and it's like, "Would you like to draw, sir?" And I'm like, being an artist, I'm like, "No, I'm good." Of course,
it was funny.
I wasn't there for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were like, there's tables and stuff. And
Yeah, there was a bunch of tables, kids, drawing pictures, and there was some people were walking around, I guess, with a little tutelage or whatever, just saying it, encouragement, what have you.
Yeah.
It's neat, and it's a pretty big section though. It's back there towards Artist Alley. I was amazed too. It's like sort of a sectioned off area, and it was really neat. They were working on little projects, mostly geared for young kids. That's what it seemed like to me. And it was cool.
And of course, we're stereotyping kids like they don't ever draw.
Yeah,
they don't do anything other than just playing on their phone like George is right now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get hold of Tim, guys. I'm just trying to get hold of Tim.
I love it. It's like school.
George, put Tetris away.
Mr. Davis, is that your telephone?
Well, it's funny, like you said. I mean, it's all about perspective because when I was a kid, if you got to go to McDonald's, that was a big deal. And I remember my kids being like, "I don't want to go to McDonald's again. Like, can't we go home and cook something?"
I guess I base it upon my own children who do not read comics. I have a real nice collection, and they've never asked me to read one comic book, not one.
Yeah,
and it's not the fact that I don't have a diversity in comics, from superheroes to independents to to strange to just mainstream. And
not from a lack of selection.
Yeah, and they don't want to read any of it. I mean, I have a whole bookshelf and stuff full of graphic novels of every artist. All the greats. Dark Knight Returns. The Watchmen. None of them. We've had me for any of it.
We've had this conversation before about the collection's a personal thing. You don't get it to show it off. You get it for you. It's what you want. That said, and I don't mean to put you guys on the spot, but I was wondering if you guys would each mind throwing out just a few. What are like some of the creme de la creme? What are some of the best, the coolest books you got in your collection?
Mine are all. I have favorite stories, but based upon covers.
Yeah, like
Daredevil 43, the Captain America and Daredevil Jack Kirby cover. Yeah. Which is strange because Kirby wasn't doing a run of Daredevil covers right there. He just did that particular one.
Wow.
And it's classic Kirby. It's very dynamic.
Yeah.
But yeah, just...
What kind of conditions that book in?
I have 2 copies and they're real nice. And of course they're the... did I say the Molten Man recently? Yeah, and it's a black cover. Anytime they got the majority of the background is black and it's a 12 center, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Was that 28 Spider-Man?
Yes, 28.
Yeah, and it was always a higher priced book because no one cares. I don't think anybody cares.
Anywhere
about
you go,
Man.
anywhere you go to look at
cover.
it, anywhere you go to look at it, it says very difficult, high grade because of the black cover. I mean, that's always a caveat. Any site that I've ever seen, when they start advertising anything around the 9.0 range because of the black cover.
Yeah, and there's nicks on the white covers, but
Yeah.
they just don't show up,
Right.
if that makes sense.
No,
Or
sure.
they're there, you can see them, and they'll be graded as such, with a black cover, and that's, of course, ditto 43.
Yeah.
But, the first Punisher, first Wolverine, early, a book that came in here the other day, the 25, I was telling you, I've never had FF12. It's always been one of those that I've always wanted, the first Hulk, first thing.
Yeah.
The 25 came in the store the other day, and that's a book I've had forever.
I
A lot of the big books, FF48. I remember True Story. I got it for $19.
Wow.
I'd sold my band, had broken up. I took about $500 and went up to Ides up in Pittsburgh, and spent all $500 in one day. And I was just like going down the list. Yeah, this.
About what year was that, do you think?
89, 90.
So $9,500 went a lot further in comics than.
Oh, it's crazy.
Well, I remember us in and around Super Bowl time going to Ides, probably around that time frame.
Yeah.
I think it was Brian, Dean, and you and I. In fact, it snowed. I remember we were going up Willersburg Mountain in my old Honda.
Yeah.
And we drove there. I don't know if you bought. I remember because for me, I bought a book. I bought some books, and they were pre-hero monster books. I remember us doing that, going for that ride. There's vague memories of that because we used to go there a lot, or make a mecca to Ides.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go through all of them, but
Sure.
we were at the Mid-Ohio Con, and I got the classic Captain America 100, where he's running at you and stuff, with the white background and stuff. And it's absolutely gorgeous shape. And it was $35, I think, is what they were charging. It was $25 in guide. And I was
Wow.
like, man, should I get this? And it's like a beautiful, beautiful book.
Yeah.
But, back then, $35, that was a lot for that
Sure.
book. And now the book is, hundreds, if not thousands. I don't know what it goes for.
Yeah.
I pay attention to guide prices, but I don't because I don't collect comic books anymore whatsoever. Everything that I get, I read. It's never for collectability. It's never for eBay. It's never for resale.
Right.
It's never multi-copies of anything. I just walked away from that.
Back to the purest form of the hobby.
Yeah. So, from collecting for 40-some years, I have some really nice books, but they're just, as you said, they're for me. If you want to come over and look at them, that's great. But other than that, they're just for me.
Out of curiosity, did you get the first Wolverine off the shelf, or did you buy that after the fact?
Both.
Because it's a Hulk, and you're a Hulk guy.
I replaced it. Yeah, I have like 12 issues of the Hulk from 102 up that'll be in very fine or better. I picked up 3 of them at the Baltimore Comic Con, so
Nice.
there's not many left.
That's cool.
A couple of the early ones are going to cost me some money, but Ted, Walls' good friend from Superworld Comics, always hooks me up with a good deal. Took 3 books up there and was like, all right, Ted, what we got on these, I'll probably save $30-35
Wow.
just by cash in hand and being a good customer every year.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Looking at me now.
Yeah,
I was because I'm like rambling through because I'm thinking. I thought of one thing.
One thing you sold a year ago.
Yeah,
One thing you sold a
Oh,
year
yeah,
ago.
the
that
Groot?
was-
Yeah.
First Groot.
that was. I mean, all the pre-hero Marvel monster books mean something to me. The ones I have, and I've actually gotten rid of some of them, but there are some that will stay, I guess, forever in a collection. I would assume, anyways. But I have a really nice copy of Tales to Astonish 23. The first appearance of Moomba, which means nothing. Actually, in the Monsters Unleashed, he's drawn into the background with all the other monsters, so it's pretty cool. It's really sweet. It came from a private collection, I suppose. It has a guy's little stamp on the inside, a little rubber stamp that has his name on it, on the inside cover there. But the book is really flat, and it's super nice. It's blue cover with Moomba coming down out of the sky, and people are all scared.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it, too, is it's signed by Dick Ayers,
Oh, wow.
who was inking with Kirby at the time of those monster books. So that's one that I will certainly I treasure and I really, really like. Actually, probably one of the most important books in my collection that I would never get rid of is my House of Mystery 245. It's not really all that special, except the fact it's a Trick or Treat Halloween issue with a Bernie Wrightson cover, signed by Bernie Wrightson.
Nice.
Story by Arthur Sudum of Monster Zombie fame, or the Marvel Zombie fame. Excuse me, tripping over my words here. Did an early story in the back, signed by him. And also signed by Ernie Chan Chua, whichever period of DC he was in at the time. He was one of the great run of Filipino artists that came over and joined DC Comics in the 70s and went on to most all of them have really prolific careers as illustrators in the comic world.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's signed by Ernie, it's signed by Arthur, and on the cover. And Bernie sometimes would go really fast when he signed things. There's some Bernie's signature is unbelievably cool to begin with, I think.
Yeah, I've got it.
And sometimes faster than others, but for some reason on this one, he just really it just flows across there.
That's awesome.
And it's just cool because it's signed by 3 different artists, and Bernie's no longer with us. So, and it's just a neat cover, and it's a horror title. I love that stuff. I mean, it's just, but that, and it is value wise, it's not a big dollar book. It's more for what is on it and what's in it.
Well, when I was a kid, I remember that FF25. That was a book. I think I might have told all you guys. That was a book that I thought, as a 13 or 14-year-old kid, I would have to win the lottery to own that comic book. Like, there's no way that I'll be somewhere to have that book. And doing this, I think anytime you take something you already love and you make it your business, there's a little piece of it that you lose in terms of, I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of the innocence is gone and there's a little cynicism. And I used to, when I first opened the store, books would come in and be like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, I remember that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's not so great. And now, more often than not, it's dollar to, oh, maybe I can make more on this. Oh, that's a money make. Like, I'm thinking in those terms. And when I'm flipping through and I pulled that book out, it was just like I was 10 again. It was
no way.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that I was holding it in my hands because I never did. I never went to a con and said, "Hey, can I see that?"
Person doesn't have enough money.
And it's on the wall, but it doesn't have a price on it because I'm fairly certain I'm just going to hold on to it because I need it. But David, I mean, your first time on here, man. I'm sorry. What if you don't mind, just give us a little bit of what you're into, and if you had any books that long term, like any dream books, what would they be? If you know,
Action Comics #1.
Oh,
Sure. Well. My collection wouldn't be as epic as your guys' collections. I've only been collecting since I started coming here, which is about a little over a year now.
Cool, man. That's a unique perspective, I mean, what do you collect?
Well, I do a lot of the Rebirth stuff: Batman, Flash.
Cool.
Of course, Superman.
You kind of walked in right at the right moment, I thought.
Yeah, I started coming in a month before they did that Rebirth one-shot.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
But as far as one of my favorite books would have to be that, what's that Hulk? That Spawn.
The Spawn?
Yeah.
226?
Yeah.
That's a sweet book. I like that one. My Batman lenticular cover. The Batman 20.
Oh, with the Flash and Batman?
Yeah.
That's a sweet book.
And then I think Baby Teeth #3. It's just the baby's face with black eyes.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
And that comic's pretty creepy. And Image book called Baby Teeth. It's
I think that was actually it's Aftershock. The same people that do Animosity.
It does Animosity. And you get that too.
Yeah, I get that too.
Which I'm a fan of. I like it. I really dig it.
Yeah, you mentioned that book. I'm waiting for it's being encapsulated now. 226 was signed by Todd McFarlane. I'm just waiting for it to
come back.
Waiting for it to come back. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm checking here to see if Tim has gotten our messages, and he has not. So, but he, he's working. He said he'd be calling in. So if you guys want, maybe we'll jump to Legacy, and then he calls in. Awesome. We'll pipe him in. If not, we can always catch him a little later in the show. But everybody here's Red Legacy. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. I kind of said what I thought last week, but I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. David, you want to kick it off?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I feel though that if I want to continue the story, I'm gonna have to buy a whole bunch of books.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that I'm kind of leery about because on a budget,
sure,
I have to pick and choose what I read. But I enjoyed it. The art was good.
Do you think though? I made a comparison to the Rebirth stuff. They did the Rebirth one shot that kind of laid the ground rules. Then the subsequent comics, you can kind of focus on the characters you personally care about. Like, I didn't get the feeling like you have to buy them all to understand what's happening.
That's the gist that I got. I was talking to my wife about it this morning. I'm like, well, it kind of felt like Rebirth, but like you said, you could pick and choose what you want. But if you want to continue, like in Rebirth, if you want to continue the main story, you want to read, of course, Action Comics, Flash, because that's where all that stuff is going on as far as the big picture.
Right.
But with Legacy, like, I like with the Wolverine, so I feel like I could just continue reading that if I want to.
And kind of go in that
direction. Yeah, I'm kind of confused by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. I as you know, I read the Court of Owls and the City of Owls, correct? and I just read part 3, which is Death in or of, whichever the one is, of the family. You want the Joker with his face?
It was Death of the Family.
Death of the Family?
Yeah.
You know, and I read that trade paperback this past week. And what I'm trying to get at is, I don't know about Rebirth, because to me it just seemed like a Batman story, if that makes any sense.
It does.
You know, the Court of Owls and stuff, I just saw it as a Batman story. I don't know where this Rebirth and stuff is happening or going at. To me, it was just a regular Batman.
Right.
Did I miss something? Is there something special about
Court of Owls is New 52, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, whatever it is, it says the New 50. To me, it just seemed like it was just a regular Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it was great, but I didn't seem like, if you could have took the New 52 or the Rebirth off the cover, I'm like, oh, cool, it's Batman.
I think that
I didn't see anything, a new angle. There wasn't any characters there that weren't there before.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely think what that is that guys like you and I aren't the target demographic. What they're trying to do is they were trying to basically frame it as a brand new thing so that they could get all new artists and all new fans. But as far as we're concerned, they're recapping the same deal. It's like starting with a number 1 again, but the story continuing.
Well, that's a marketing thing.
Exactly.
And for me, it's been around the block a couple times. I was kind of surprised because it's like, oh, now, as you know, how the problems I've had, all of a sudden Batman is now, you know, a female. And it's like, no, that's not what happened. It was just Batman.
Well, I was curious to see what you thought about Legacy, because they're acting like the female versions of those characters and things had actually existed for a million years before the ones that we all knew about.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, you have Odin in the beginning. And, of course, what I'm seeing, how should I say it, back issue-wise, that's been holding up other comic books for years, Starbrand.
Yeah.
From the New Universe, as in Legacy. And all of a sudden, Jim Shooter's New Universe is going to start becoming very popular and collectible. And those things have been holding up other comic books in your boxes for years.
That's one thing that, like, I don't follow a lot of Marvel stuff, so I was like, well, like, Starbrand, like, who is that? I'm like, who is this guy? And then
like I said,
Thor,
this
like,
book
what
is
happened to the
probably
regular
gonna, have you seen numbers on it or anything?
Of Legacy?
Oh, no, on the first Starbrand, or any of the New Universe. Was
No.
it DP7 and all that?
No.
Because obviously he battles Ghost Rider, the new Ghost Rider in it.
No.
Like I said, those books have been in the dollar bin or 50 cent
They've been
bin
books
forever.
that you put in the back to keep your good books from getting
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were sitting here like giving me news, like they're relaunching Starbrand and
No.
EP7. Oh no, I know exactly what you're talking about. They're sitting there underneath with a new cat litter that I just bought. So
But I'm saying
it might be
these are the
worthwhile
new
digging up
Legacy.
the issue that has Starbrand's first appearance in it. Is what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I know. I felt a little bit of a jip when I read Legacy, in the sense that you see the Incredible Hulk and Captain America and Iron Man and all these characters on the covers, and then you read it, and that doesn't feel that way to me. Like it felt like
Not at all.
a big batch of false advertising. Like, why don't you slap? People are ordering it ahead of time of seeing the cover anyway. Why aren't there the covers with Starbrand and?
But why is Thor making out with Falcon or Captain America?
Oh, because she as a human she's dying. Remember that I mean that's what her female form, human form, is dying of cancer.
Right.
I mean, I guess I was saying to George earlier, I guess I thought that was sort of an interesting way of, if we're going to exit that character and make the Thor that we know prominent again. I was like, well, I mean, that made sense.
It's original for sure.
But yeah, I guess there's bucket lists. I mean, I sort of thought that was sort of humorous, and I sort of enjoyed that part.
I've ordered Thor 700, from you and stuff, so I'm waiting to see where this goes.
Sure.
Because Ragnarok and all that stuff's coming, and I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
Well,
but Legacy
God's coming. That was cool. That was one thing that was cool that was introduced. I mean, I'm sure that we were privy to that beforehand, but I thought that was cool.
I don't know from that particular issue that I really understood what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and I would have
been. Like I said,
I didn't feel like I had the full picture, but more important than that, I could have gone with maybe there still being questions or not being 100% sure what's going on, as long as it left me the feeling like I want to find out. And I'm not overly, like, I don't need to know. Like, if
I want to know.
I mean, it'd be cool, but I can't say that I feel disappointed if I didn't pick up another book following up whatever that story was.
Well, I guess the question is, I don't know what the question is for the book.
I mean,
maybe you guys can fill me in. Maybe I'm missing something. What is the point of the book?
I have a general idea. I guess the general idea is that I'm assuming, to appease traditionalists, that all these characters existed millions of years ago, whatever, as almost elementals, really. I mean, that's the way I'm
the Celestials and Odin and those guys,
and basically that the versions that we have known in our lifetime are basically just a carryover to that, I mean, that's what I'm getting from it. I also enjoyed I liked the Johnny and Ben Grimm thing.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was cool. I liked seeing the children, too, at the end talking about mom and dad, because I will always love the Fantastic Four.
I totally agree.
And there you go, FF45. There's a book, the First Inhumans,
Yeah.
There's a book that won't leave the fold. Okay, throwing that out there.
Yeah.
But I got to say this, I'm sorry, I fell asleep during the third episode of the Inhumans last night. It hurts my heart that they put out this thing. And after I watched 2 episodes. I watched the first 2 episodes, going, this is like watching cosplay. I mean, I knew it would come. I did sort of. I love Lockjaw, anyways. I thought that was done pretty cool. For the computer graphic folks, I thought they did a nice job on Lockjaw. Yeah. But I'm so disappointed. I'm like, I never envisioned that Gorgon and Karnak could be so boring. Yeah. So boring. So boring. Yeah. And I'm seeing Medusa Bald talking to an ATM machine thinking it's going to give her money. That's about where I fell asleep last night. Yeah. Sorry I went off track, but I'm so disappointed that some of the greatest characters that were created in a great time of comics, with Jack Kirby, Joe Sinnott, and Stan, whatever, creating this cool storyline of the Inhumans, which is such a major part of the Marvel comic universe, and when Surfer, Galactus, all that was happening at the same time, that they put that product out there. I'm very disappointed.
It's part of that Fantastic Four curse. They can't.
I know. I'm very disappointed.
Make a movie. Where
extremely disappointed.
Yeah,
it's extremely disappointed.
And there again, you have the team up. We talked about it, and you have Johnny and Ben.
Yeah.
And as usual and stuff, you have that major problem where they make a movie and reboot it, do the characters different, then you're trying to bring them back in the comic book, and there's that confusion that I'm always talking about.
Yeah.
Where people go see the movies and they read the comic books, and then they sit there and go, who are these people?
I'll tell you the truth,
I thought Johnny Storm was this guy. I thought he was it, and you're like,
I'll tell you the truth, in the reboot, which I've watched, because I held off for a long time watching it, my wife said she thought it wasn't that bad. I actually enjoyed it because the story has changed around so much in that, that it doesn't even, I mean, when you try to compare it to the original Fantastic Four, it doesn't fit at all. But I sort of like some of the ideas that they used. Yeah. I don't know that anybody, I think people would say, okay, look, they were just doing a separate story here. That's my take on it. It has nothing to do, it doesn't really, the characters definitely relate. I mean, but it's such a different way of telling the story.
So how can they have those two and then the kids, but yet not Sue and Reed?
I think it's probably some type of a legal situation.
I understand, but how can you have 2 of them and the kids and not Sue and Reed?
Does it make? I mean, is something going to happen? I mean,
I don't know.
I'm sure. Have they
solved some problem or some way to work that out? Legally.
Are you aware of all this, Dave?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't get how they can have a book with those guys coming out. Yeah. They are part of the Fantastic Four. They just showed the 2 kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Where's the parents? And why can't they legally be in these books?
Because I guess that makes the FF. And marketing-wise, the Thing and the Torch are going to make more dollars theoretically than Reed.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
They put out a book of Mr. or Mrs. Reed Richards. Is that
they're going to sell 7 copies, and Walls and I are going to buy 3.
That's something I was going to ask him. Like, are they going to make another Fantastic Four? Because that's what I was seeing in the book, and I'm like, is that going to happen? Or
see, as a new guy coming in, you would think that.
Yeah.
Or could it be the 2?
I know what's going on in the back of my head, but I agree. His comment is perfect. Anybody that's reading that doesn't have a whole long thing with the history. Cuckoo. I was waiting for that bird to come out of that claw.
Well, it's actually Homer Simpson. He comes out and does a woohoo with
woohoo!
beer, but the battery must have died. It didn't pop out.
That would have been cool.
But for a new person, though, I'm assuming they're thinking that have a knowledge of comics. Obviously, you do, and you're going, "Ooh, does that mean like the Fantastic Four might be popping back up?" which is what everybody, I believe,
well,
hopes for.
Why is Ghost Rider and Starbrand battling?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's what I
That's
said.
why you want to read the second issue.
That's what I'm reading the whole book,
Yeah.
and
See-
you're asking for a review or talk about it, and I'm not even sure what I read.
As a guy that ordered the new Ghost Rider series that went 3 or 4 or 5 issues, and I lost a nice little sum of money on that because we didn't sell any of it because it looked terrible, I can honestly say I don't care. I'm hoping that Ghost Rider, at least that Ghost Rider and Starbrand, like, blow up in some explosion together.
Supernova, boom, gone.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I can say that I'm probably on your side on that.
yeah, I'm wondering if the children at the end of the book are going to end up teaming up with Ben and Torch and become a pseudo Fantastic Four till things are worked out. Because that Marvel 2-in-1,
I hope not.
yeah, well, me too. But that Marvel 2-in-1, and I won't go on a tangent because I did last week. But now Thing doesn't team up with somebody in each issue. He is with the Torch. Like, it should be Thing and Torch, #1, because that's what he's doing. And
Yeah.
it guts what the coolest part about that book was.
But it's funny to some people maybe that some new people coming in. This is my take on it. When they see that team up, they may not be familiar with the old team up, or and
Sure.
they are willing to look at it that way and do it. I mean, it's really hard not to be informed, though. If you're into comic books, it's really hard not to be able to. Hey, if you like that, this is where this all started. I think most people, I don't think most people stay in the dark very long, I guess is what I'm saying. But still, a new person might say, "Oh, that's cool,"
Well, what a great way, though, to be able to bypass the numbering. It's like to new people that you're obviously trying to attract. If you've never read a comic book and you come in and it's like, what's something I can jump on right now? Hey, Marvel 2-in-1 #23. In this issue, the Thing teams up with Captain America. It's an isolated story. Go check it out. Last month, he teamed up with Nightcrawler.
Right.
And the week before that, or the month before that, it was Wolverine. Then the numbers don't matter as much, and every month is a new month to try to get somebody in.
Right.
What's
And
funny,
they negated that.
As a collector, I can pick and choose which team up or 2-in-1s that I still own.
Right.
All right.
Because I'm sitting there going, this or that. I'm like, no. Ambush
Ambush bug.
Ambush bug. No, I don't need ambush bug. And of course, I do have the ambush bug Keith Giffen stories at the house. Not picking on him, but yeah, you can pick and choose who he teams up with.
Thing and
like the
Sandman having
Deathlock,
the drink.
the Deathlock ones, the
Yeah.
2-in-1s.
Thing and
I
Sandman,
have,
yeah.
but probably the 4 issues before it and after, I don't have.
Oh, I loved those issues too. I was just looking at some because I just discovered I was looking at some of the covers that Ron Wilson did, and I'm like going, oh, cool. The 2-in-1s and the team ups. I was looking at both of them.
Yeah.
And I like some of these things.
So I had, not to switch gears there, but I had a couple people yesterday coming in asking if I had Batman 25. You have it, I'm sure, from
Yeah.
Rebirth. That's apparently the one where there's a proposal to Catwoman?
Catwoman, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think Batman 32 might have had the Catwoman's response.
Yeah, because the number 25 is popping for like $15 a copy.
Oh, wow.
And the one that is out this past Wednesday, the response, I got it sitting over there, is like $10 online.
Really?
To order. $10 plus shipping. And, yeah, I was like, I think if nothing else, it shows that the DC thing, the Rebirth, has some legs to it. If you've got books that have been out for 6 months that are climbing up in value. Because I don't think Marvel's done that at all, other than that Incredible Hulk Wolverine hybrid thing.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anything that Marvel's done in the last 3 years that's spiked in. If anything, it's all kind of sunk. I don't know if you guys saw that guy at the Comic-Con. It has the Fantastic Four logo, Comics for Less,
Yeah.
and the $2 books. He had 3 boxes there that weren't even closed. It was just stuff that's on the wall. And it was like $2. And those books are $4, $5, and sometimes $6.
Yeah.
Civil War II, $6 a copy. So, yeah.
I did read the Batman White Knight
Yeah.
by
Oh, that
Sean
new one.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
And of course, they're calling Joker, was it Napier?
I haven't read it.
I flipped through it. I thought the art looked incredible, but I haven't gotten
It
to read
is. It is. It's very good. My question is, whenever I read Death of the Family, and of course the Joker has his face cut
So,
off, when did that happen?
It happened in Detective Comics, #1, the New 52.
What storyline is it?
I'm not sure what the storyline was.
That would have been, because that's the very first one, that would have
Yeah.
been Court of Owls,
That was...
wasn't it?
No, the Court of
No.
Owls was just a Batman. Where
Oh,
Joker gets his
okay.
face sewed off, that was in Detective.
Okay.
But I can't
Detective Number 1 of
Yeah.
New 52.
Yeah. But I can't remember what the story was called, or what the story was, what the story arc.
Yeah, because have you read any of this?
No, sir.
Yeah, he goes and steals his face back. I mean, he cut his own face off. Joker did. And then he wraps it, or,
He
does like a
staples it
leather
on.
face thing.
Little
and
Texas
staples
Chainsaw action
staples
going
it
on there.
and puts it back on. He's running around like
See,
that.
that's funny because I didn't even know that happened because I hadn't
Neither
read
did
it.
I.
Well, that explains a lot because if you go up to Books A Million right now, they have the trade and it comes with his face. And I always thought, man, that's a cruddy looking mask, but that's what it is. It's his face cut off. Like
He goes into the police station and steals it back.
Yeah.
Kills a bunch of people and steals it back. That's the beginning of the book.
oh wow,
It's wild.
That's pretty cool. That sounds cool.
And of course, it's all Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo
yeah.
artwork, and Jock does like a couple of the backup stories. But wow, what a story!
So how does that tie into the White Knight book? Or did it just make a
That's what I
reference
said.
about it?
I don't understand, because the beginning of the White Knight book, he's chasing the Joker through the. They finally capture the Joker, and then he's in there without his makeup on, and I don't want to give a whole lot away because it just came out.
Right.
But he ends up in jail. He goes to the library and everything else, and he's putting a case together to sue Gotham and Batman and everyone else. But the thing is and stuff, he doesn't have any makeup on. So, as you know from The Killing Joke, you're not really sure what, as they always say, he's told his own origin a couple different ways because he's the Joker. He's nuts.
Right.
So you're not really sure whether he fell in the vat or anything that happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, as always, Batman is an incredible read for decades.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
a character that I can
Yes.
read about any time and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
can't say that for much of the other DC our characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
What's another? I mean, what would you guys say? What are characters that I think Batman's at the top of the list for most people? For me, like Spider-Man. I can read Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's,
Yep.
yeah. He's easily
Yes.
accessible.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else would you say? I mean, The Thing for me. I mean, I keep asking you guys, then I keep answering. Who do you think, Spider-Man? Who do you
Oh,
think?
the Hulk. I've been through
Yeah.
everything with the Hulk.
Yeah.
Good,
For
bad,
sure.
crappy art,
Different.
great art,
I will have
great
to-
writing, new characters.
I never thought I'd say this because I never thought it would last this long, and I'm so glad it has, because for me, I've craved reading it every month. Is Spawn.
Yeah.
Spawn has become iconic. I never, I know there was a lot of buzz when it happened, and it had a lot to do with, McFarlane and the guys breaking away and doing the whole Image thing. I realized that, and that was the greater picture, I guess. But I read that every month, and I really enjoy it. The new story arc is great. The art is great, and I'm sitting here thinking, man, Spawn is going to hit 300. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
It's
Under
amazing,
the radar.
and the thing is, it is really. I don't say this every week to toot a horn. It is a really cool read. It's good. It's great art, and it's a cool read, and I love it.
David, I know you're a Spawn fan. I want to just get what you think too.
I-
If I could, Tim's
Right.
on the line though. Let's go ahead and I know
Okay.
he's got a limited window here. Tim, are you there?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey, Slap.
How's it going, Tim?
Timmy,
Hey man, we actually just talked about Legacy. We wanted to know. We obviously want to jump back to it, and you give us your 2 cents.
Tell us what's going on.
I like it. The old fanboy in me is pretty happy with those last couple pages. With the FF hint there, and I think there's some pretty good art in it. McNiven's in there, some Diodato. There's a good conglomeration of artists. The art's pretty tight. So if they keep that up and don't disappoint us, I'm on board.
What was the story about? Could you tell me?
Let's see.
This isn't a
Well,
quiz.
it
I'm
started out with
asking.
that, million years ago, different. It's saying that our Marvel characters now are just a pinpoint in time of a long history of characters, of heroes. So it's showing like the original, like Thor and stuff like that. And I think that's what my take on it. I think George can agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Walls agrees too.
Yeah, okay. That's what I got out of it. Other than that, I really wasn't impressed with that Ghost Rider, that version of Ghost Rider being in there. but I know we're kind of stuck with that version right now anyway. You know, the dude in the car. I can't get on board with that. I can't get on board with Ghost Rider being in a car or Ghost Rider being on a horse. You know, I like the one on the bike. You know, that's just how it is.
What about a moped?
Yeah, I don't know.
What about a Beetle?
Yeah,
we could do that. You know,
it's changing now.
Yeah.
There's a joke about a moped, but I'm not going to tell it to you. I can't do that.
Well, here's the thing: is I know you had said you were on board when I first saw that. I was thinking that was going to be like a 6-issue series. That's a one shot. That's like the way they did it with DC Rebirth. Like there was the special, and then it went to the books. That's okay. The end of that. And finding that out, I was kind of like, seems like you could have answered or fleshed that out a little more. Before now it's time to just spawn off into the books you want to get.
Excuse me. Well, you think the Thing and the Torch, you think that spot's going to just flow into that Marvel 2-in-1 that's really not a Marvel 2-in-1 or team up or whatever?
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to do that.
You know what? I hope.
Well, yeah, it looks that way.
I'll tell you, if they're involved in it, then I'll be a lot more interested in what's coming next. But if they continue the Star Brand move, I can't imagine anybody following Star Brand.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not there with that either. But it was a pretty good read. It kind of jumped around a little bit, but I think that's just because they want to try to reel everybody into saying here's kind of who we have now. If you're not on board with it, this is our version of Iron Man right now. But they're looking for Stark, quote unquote, and Captain America's out there trying to figure out what he's going to do. So, I really don't care about those two guys anyway. I'm more concerned about the Hulk and BFF. That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
So, I guess we'll see. And I'm not buying like a bazillion books. Like you read that list off to us the other day. It's like, holy crap. For all the legacy tie-ins. Right. My goodness, you'd have to have like a small mint to get all those. Yeah. I mean, that'd be good for you because you'd be selling them all, but
Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, hey, we appreciate you calling in and weighing in. And are you going to be back here with us next week?
Unfortunately, I probably won't. I got to work like almost every weekend here in October, so I'll probably be doing the mobile calling in. There may be some sunlight here one weekend. It's just hard to tell.
All right. Well, if we don't have you in person, we'll have you via satellite. And
yeah, exactly.
You're always here in spirit, Tim.
Yeah, Tim, you're always here in spirit.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Kindred spirits. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, take it easy, man. We'll hopefully see you this week at the shop.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll be in on Wednesday.
All right, man. Take it easy.
I'm always there Wednesday. I wouldn't want to break that Cal Ripken-like streak.
For sure. All right, man. See ya.
Right, see you guys. Bye.
Bye.
See you, Tim.
See ya.
Well, one thing I've discovered. We all seem to be somewhat on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Us old fans, us old school fans.
Yeah. And
I just have no idea where they're going with it all. It just seemed like it was random.
There were some things that made sense to me, but yeah, there's still some ambiguity. I'm not quite sure.
That was one of the other questions I had.
That's how they sell comic books.
Was what's with this new Ghost Rider? What happened to the old one?
Yeah. With Marvel, when it comes to that book and as well as all the other ones, it almost feels like, forgive this analogy, but it almost feels like all their characters are Hollywood stars, and they only have so much budget to make the movie, and you have to pick and choose how you're going to spend that money. Like you're putting an NFL team together, and there's a cap. Like, how much money can we afford? It's like, guess what? You own all of them. Yeah. Put them all in there. Give us the damn story. Like Hulk, Captain America, Fantastic Four, Wolverine, Spider-Man. Like, boom. That's what happens. And then let some of these secondary characters team up with a Thing each month in 2-in-1 or whatever. So.
Well, I guess with Legacy, it didn't give me hope that anything big's coming.
Yeah.
Or anything that I'm looking forward to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that's kind of how I feel.
I read it and I was like, I'm not really sure what I just read. Some cool fight scenes. The Wolverine was really cool.
Yeah.
Those what they call them? Frost Giants?
Frost Giant. Oh, the Diodato page was awesome. Jean Grey walking in there with the statue as Burial split in half. That page, it's worth getting the book just to see that page. That was really cool.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Old Man Logan continues to be incredible.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh,
I haven't read the new one yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
That right there for me. I look forward to. I'm enjoying Venom. I really love Spawn, but Old Man Logan, absolutely.
Man,
I'm like every time. Well, and it is the art. It is.
Oh,
I owe Deodato an apology. I never trashed him. I just was never really on board.
He's been hit and miss with me, but,
but
I've always saw him
man,
as
Shevitz, is he nailing it like with a
yeah.
and it's hitting an anvil. It's awesome. It's really good. The pages
awesome.
are out. There's a few pages in the most recent issue that are just unbelievable. Very nice.
kicking it now.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think with the Legacy, my final word is the word is out. You know, I don't know what, I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
I read it, nice art.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Yeah, I wasn't like, man, this stinks, but it also didn't entice me to say, man, sign me up for the rest of these books.
But the first 6, 7, 8 pages with Odin. It's like, I don't know why I ever created this place in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like, I was actually kind of laughing. That's pretty funny, but it's cool to see that perspective.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I wish the rest of the book would have had something to do with that.
Yeah.
Because I found it.
I agree. I found that.
Yeah, I do too.
Outside
That's what I found
of the Deodato page,
Yeah.
addressing Wolverine being it being back.
And
That whole beginning part, and really saying it's like, what did I do? Basically Earth. What did I do?
Of course, I'm joking. I'm going back to the Ghost Rider. It's like he's on like an all night bender,
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's
Yeah.
supposed to be in California, and next thing he's in South America or something.
Yeah.
And then he's fighting Starbrand, and I'm like, guys, I don't know what happened in the board meeting. Hey guys, I got a great idea. And
Somebody
you're
go to the bathroom, and they were like, okay, yeah, but I'm like,
and someone and you're like, say what? Oh, just print it.
yeah,
We're going
it's
for,
good. Trust me, it's good.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if because it felt kind of choppy and jumped around.
Yeah.
It felt like maybe there's 6 or 7 different things happening across this book.
Yeah.
And then the 30 titles they're putting out next month, like no matter which book you buy, will basically find its roots in one of those choppy little sub-stories in that book.
That'll flesh out in those stories.
Yes.
I mean, that seems the logical and natural progression of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah, so Marvel 2-in-1, definitely something to order, because if there's going to be any pleasure derived from this thing,
Well-
as far as I'm concerned, that's where it's coming from.
Somehow, I love Monsters Unleashed, and somehow that's going to be an important book because it ties into it. I will figure out how that happens, but I've really enjoyed that title anyway, so I'm already on board for that. So I'll be getting that. Plus, that's the one that has the FF #1 variant, which is like the cover of FF #1 that I like to collect. So that's pretty cool, and I'll see how they fit into it, or how that ties into it.
Right.
And I'm assuming that's going to be part of those little subplots type thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is, real quick, subplots. That word.
Yeah.
When Marvel team up and Marvel 2-in-1, that's something that does not exist.
Right.
They always said about back in the day
Yeah.
with Chris Claremont, for that great run that he was on, but nothing. It was almost like Days of Our Lives, General Hospital. Nothing has ever settled down. As soon as one major storyline is coming to an end, you can always very end they kick something else, and you can just see it.
Yeah.
You can see the genesis of another bad situation coming.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the X-Men. There was never an article of them going out to lunch,
Yeah.
having tea, getting some exercise, watching some TV. It was always one from another. Team up and 2-in-1. You just read it.
Yep.
You're good to go.
Yep. One story.
You're waiting to see what the next one was, but there was no carryover from the last comic book.
Yeah. No,
And
absolutely.
it's fun that way. You need that because, like I said, a lot of these comic books, it does not ever end. The
Right.
drama.
Yeah. And if it does, then nobody's buying.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
No questions. No one had any.
Yeah, actually, we did have... Yeah, we do actually have a question here. I'll go ahead and throw it out to you guys. Let's see here. What are thoughts on growing tensions between fans and creators on social media? What would you say to both sides of the conflict to help bridge the community divide? I think David, I don't know. No, not familiar. We've talked before. We're not really familiar with what that is, but
I have ideas.
Yeah, we have
I
some
got
ideas.
good
Throw some
ideas,
stuff out.
Well, as I think that comic creators and not Marvel in general, because obviously it's owned by Disney, they're not listening to Twitter, fans rant and rave on Facebook and stuff and all the different social medias. I doubt that they're listening to a whole lot of that stuff. My point is comic book creators are much more accessible than movie stars. These big directors are not sitting there listening, to my Facebook and say, man, Kramer's really pissed off about that last movie of mine, you know what I mean?
We gotta fix that.
Yeah, that's not happening, where you can actually go to the conventions and talk to these people. They're very accessible. They're not $100 a seat, they're not this, you know what I mean?
And this I've noticed every time, because we've had these conversations, because you and I were standing there right with Corey Andrews, and I was over there talking to Ed McGuinness and McNiven, or side by side talking to these guys. Those when they realize who you are, like when I said, hey, sign to Gary on every one of these books, when they knew that I'm truly a fan and I'm not out for profit and I'm here getting autographs from people of work that I really appreciate, trust me, they are one of us immediately.
Right.
You can tell the conversation. It's like, yeah, I remember that, and I really like that. I mean, they definitely are on board. They're just, they are one of us that are just,
Sure.
Of course, Gary is uber talented, as you are, George, and these guys just have a talent for drawing and writing and what have you. But they are us, and I agree with that. They are more closer to the ground, so to speak, and are in what we're into, but they're dealing with the powers that be, and that's how that conversation often to us. Well, they asked me to do this way, or they asked me not to do this, or they preferred. Because Corey Andrews, about the Hulk being bald, he said, man, they almost lost it. You drew this cover with the Hulk was shaved bald, and I'm like, I'm like, well, wow, but that's how, they're dealing with. I think they're dealing with what they want to create to make people happy, within the constraints of what this business frame is saying.
I think there's also a comparison when you're talking about Twitter and Facebook and things like Instagram and all that stuff. When it comes to pro wrestling, WWF, the 80s and the 90s, and all the way back, I think the crowd would come and watch it, and they basically didn't have a say. They didn't have a forum because everybody could say what they wanted, but they weren't saying it together. And they weren't able to bounce those things off of each other. So you really only had the reaction in an arena and then the buy rates of a pay-per-view or the ratings of a TV show to go by. So it kind of went in its own direction. With the invention of Twitter, now every single wrestler has his own Twitter page, and people can speak directly to them. And kind of like a comic creator working for DC or Marvel, this guy's under contract to WWF. They're the ones deciding creative. He might have a little bit of a say, but he's taken a lot of the flack from people, and then he's right there to answer back. I think it's a much more of a direct connection, and because of that, it's a lot easier, almost like a focus group. Twitter's a big focus group for WWF, just like it is for Marvel and DC. I think the higher-ups are paying at least some attention to what's being said there, not because they even care, but, oh man, this is good information. Like, we're finding out straight from the horse's mouth, this is what you want to buy and this is what you hate, and we're not having to wait for the numbers to come in anymore. We're getting reaction.
Right.
But to get that reaction, you have to sift through all the BS of people wanting to complain and trolls and people just trying to cause a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I think Brian Bolin, who's obviously legendary, with the Killing Joke, if you're familiar with him, he had a guy that was there with him, helping him out, doing the tickets for his autograph session and everything. But try getting that close to, and I'm not picking on her, I'm just throwing it out there, Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, right, sure.
Who is obviously, is crossed over with being the Black Widow in the Avengers movies, but she's obviously a big-time movie star. She really doesn't care what I put on Facebook.
Right, sure.
But maybe Brian Bolin does, in a sense. Like I said, they're all human beings, and that's crazy. But if Gene Simmons walks in there, that's Gene Simmons from Kiss, world
right.
World famous.
Right.
He's not really going to care what I have to say about a whole lot of things.
Sure.
But I have a feeling, as you were talking about McGuinness and those guys, if you went up there and say, "Man, your work is really slacking," I have a feeling he's going to have some hurt feelings. Or Robert Downey Jr. would be like, "Whatever."
Right.
And I'm not.
That's a great point.
I'm not stereotyping any of these guys, but these movie stars, as they always say with like Led Zeppelin, watching some of the documentaries, there's bands that just walk on heaven, walk on the clouds. They're way up here. and movie stars are way up here, and comic book collectors are so accessible. I think they really care. I mean, there's some guys. I remember seeing Bart Sears last night, and I walked right up to him. I wanted to get that Turok thing, and he's done. At one time was one of the top artists out there. And I'm not saying that, quality-wise, he's not still. But I walked right up to him. He was so accessible.
Yeah, I talked to him for about 10 minutes. Said, man, when Wizard was out, I was in middle school and high school, and I remember my friends and I sitting at lunch going through the Brutes and Babes section of Wizard that he drew and just working on it. And he was genuinely flattered by that. And it's like, oh, thanks, man. They're collecting all that into a
most every conversation I've had has always been sort of like we end up talking about things we both like. And I'm here to get this guy's autograph, and it always feels like it's more on an equal ground when we're done. Like they're shaking my hand, saying, "Really cool talking to you. I'm glad you brought this stuff up, and thank you for buying it." It's and or sharing about something totally not related, something we both appreciate in comics. It's like, and having that experience, they are there. And I think will continue to be that way.
Well, they're niche celebrities. You know what I mean? Like they're celebrity in that world, but I think in their day-to-day lives, it's not like like you just said, Robert Downey Jr. is a superstar in every facet of his life, other than maybe when his wife's telling him to take out the garbage. Right. But other than that, if he goes to a restaurant, that's who he is. Like he's treated like that by the culture at large. And with this being a subculture, you can kind of go in there and be that guy then. Right. But I don't think he's spoiled in our society.
It's pretty impressive, though. It's like, Scotty Young. I'm looking behind, trying to get, this autograph. I look behind. There's like 200 people waiting. And I'm thinking, I say Scotty Young to somebody, they're like, what you're talking about? It's like, and I'm thinking, like, when I looked at him, like, that's pretty huge. I mean, nobody would ever stand 200 deep in line to meet me. But yet again, a lot of people don't even know who the person is. And I think that's also what keeps them rooted. The people that are standing in line are super fans. I mean, 1 out of 10 probably is, I'd like to profit off this because I know your stuff is hot. But I'd say the majority of people that are standing in line, are there like, I really appreciate this work. Yeah. And it is going to be so cool to have a signed piece.
Look, Jeff Lemire, when I was there waiting for him, the people that coming up with copies of Extraordinary X-Men and Old Man Logan, like, he was nice to them. But I walked up there with that black hammer that you gave me, and you could see he kind of, oh, hey, thanks a lot for buying this. Like, that piece meant more to him, and you could see that he was more invested. And he was a super nice guy. I only got to be there for a second, but there was like 200 people in line.
Brian Bowen, when I brought in the Swamp Things, everybody's getting Killing Jokes on. I mean, literally, I'm looking, there are 15 people that, whatever, that have it out and getting ready to sign, because there were only 3 pieces you could have signed. I had 3 Swamp Thing covers there, and he just looked at me like, that's refreshing. It's no insult, because the Killing Joke is iconic. Yeah. It just is, and I know that. But it was really funny, because he just looked at me like, oh, I know what a weird little thing to pick, I guess, maybe. Even I think the covers are phenomenal.
One thing for every Stan Lee, there's 1,500 that aren't Stan Lee. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. That they come and go, then they're the hot artists. Eric Powell was very accessible last year, the whole time.
Yeah, and
Frank
really
Miller,
nice.
Frank Miller, because of the success of Sin City and his movies, is a little higher than a lot of those people. But here's Klaus Janson, his frequent.
Well, Frank Miller is known by. Frank Miller is also known by a different group of people that don't run with us, so to speak. Frank Miller is probably appeals to a lot of people in the movie realm now.
Sure.
With 300, Sin City stuff. I mean, that's comic. That's comic book related, but still, you're pulling in people that may not ever have read a comic book, but are into like action films, anything like that. He's brought in a whole other different universe into his popularity realm, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. Well, in Dark Knight Returns, I mean, it's kind of transcended comics and become part of the culture. And who did that?
Well, Batman is cultural. You don't have to be a comic book person. Batman's Batman. Everybody.
Right. But that story specifically, I think, elevates Frank Miller.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
More or less, the more people that know you, So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, guys, on the close-in here, is there anything you want to recommend? Sorry, David, I feel like you don't get a word in edgewise, buddy.
I love listening.
It's a tough crowd there.
What?
I just read that Darth Vader #6.
Yeah,
awesome.
I love that book.
Oh,
that's my #1 read each month. It passed Paper Girls. That's what it is. Darth Vader than Paper Girls.
Let me ask this stuff: someone who does not read Star Wars, when does it take place?
That's a great thing. Is every series takes place, they find niches for it to take place in between the films so that it doesn't affect them. It just kind of like adds additional shades to what happened.
This new Darth Vader picks up right after
Episode 3.
when Episode 3 ends. When he's
I guess the problem is and stuff is I read Michael Moorcock's Elric series, which is part of the Eternal Champions, and with was it Hawkwind and some of the I think that's it. But anyway, you know that he dies. I read where he actually did die as an Eternal Champion, and then they put out books after that, with Elric in it. And I understand that's, because they did the Legends of the Dark Knight, remember, where they were putting Batman of untold stories, which is one thing, but they never said Batman dies. Even in the Dark Knight, he doesn't. Dark Knight Returns, he doesn't die. So whenever you're reading Darth Vader and you know that he dies, is it anticlimactic to read these stories?
It adds to the
how it ends.
Yeah,
So
I think what it is
and I think that's what the basis of every movie and thing. It's like, how's this going to end? If this guy dies, how's he going to die?
Oh yeah, I don't know that I go down that road. I think that for me, if there's a character that I love, it's like I don't know, like when I was younger.
How do you have a cliffhanger? It's like, he dies anyway.
Well, his life isn't always what's on the line. I think because Star Wars is so. Stop me if you disagree, but Star Wars is so deep that it has like the political ramifications and all those things to where. Perfect example, and I don't mean to digress here, but like when I was in middle school, I was really, really big into that whole OK Corral thing and Wyatt Earp. And it's like, I know he died, but the more I can know about what happened when he lived, the more interested I am in that. Like, I just want to follow it. And that's Darth Vader. It's like, the cliffhangers don't always have to do with, is he going to survive? It's, how did he get his lightsaber? How did, that's what they're covering now. It picks up minutes after Episode 3 when he becomes Vader. Like, when they unshackle him, he's like, no! Like, that moment is in the #1 issue of the new series. From there till the original Star Wars, you have 30 years, and they haven't touched any of that in the canon.
I can tell you how he had Luke Skywalker.
Yeah?
I know that.
Okay.
I know how that happened.
But
do you need me to tell you?
Well, there's like I was just super pumped at the idea that they can go for 30 years because the previous Darth Vader story took place between the one that we were reading.
Yeah, it's between was it 5 and 6?
Yeah, it's between Empire and Jedi. Well, you only have 3 or 4 or 5 months between there.
Right.
So the series ended at issue 25 because you can't go any further. So with this one now, they've got 30 years they can run right up until Star Wars, and there's a lot of stuff that happened there. And if I can read about it, that's awesome. Like the end all isn't that he's going to die or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, the cool thing is it's kind of like that Untold Adventures of in some ways. But like the Star Wars book's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Darth Vader book's awesome. And the art in it is the same folks that were doing Thanos. I don't know if you guys flipped through any of that stuff, but it's real good at space and spaceships and alien planets. My only problem with it is I'm so used to watching a 2.5 hour movie that it sucks to go through 28 pages and then be like, I gotta wait.
And then like for me, it's like I want more dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's not enough dialogue, and I want to know more.
Yeah.
And then you gotta wait for the next issue.
Yeah, and I'm totally down with that. Darth Vader's my #1 book.
Oh yeah.
That's cool because all the big Star Wars fans, you got to wait a year or two for the movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And sometimes a decade or two for the new ones to come out.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you right now.
Luckily, they're rolling on them.
I'll tell you right now. I'd take that 25 issue run of Darth Vader. Hell, I'd take the 6 issues now over the entire prequel trilogy. I mean, that's just me, but yeah, they can. Yeah. I wouldn't hit a dog in the ass with the first one.
Say what?
My grandfather used to say all the time, I wouldn't hit a dog in the ass with that. Like, does that speak to is that a scathing indictment of your abuse of animals, or that's just something you heard from your grandfather?
Oh wow.
My dad used to say that's drier than a popcorn fart. I'm like, some isms are just pretty funny. I don't even know. Maybe you didn't even what does that mean? I know what that means now. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to mean anything. I wouldn't hit the dog in the ass with that thing. That's great.
Okay, we can only say ass 3 more times before I have to put the explicit. All right, well, you guys have anything you want to recommend this week, or anything you're...
The Batman White Knight. Get it. And go back and read Snyder and Capullo's Batman run. Wow.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Hey, Bags is back on Venom.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I can't wait. I'm going to read that today.
It's been a good read anyway.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying that a lot. Of course, I'll say spawn.
If anybody else out there read Legacy, explain it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you,
Not all of it, but there's missing links. I think there's.
I just don't know the purpose of it. I don't know where they're going with any of it.
Yeah, especially for a one shot. It's not even like, well, in 3 weeks you're going to find out because number 2 comes out.
Okay.
No, I mean it's not that. It's a one shot. Like, they didn't really close it up. So, Yep. All right, guys. Well, just a quick reminder. Again, we're going to have Halloween Comic Fest. It's on October the 28th. It's here from noon to 5. A bunch of free comics and food and, yes, David, sandwiches.
Oh, yeah. I'll be here.
I have a sale on back issues, and we're also going to have a comic book contest. I'll actually have all the details on that in next week's podcast, but Diamond is sponsoring a costume contest to where they're sending in like a big backdrop. You come in during the Comic Fest, you get your picture taken, we upload them to Diamond, and then they issue a $250 gift certificate for anything that Diamond sells. So you can order it out of the catalog, you can pick it up right here in the store, you can get whatever you want, but a $250 gift certificate. So
wow.
It's pretty cool. They're giving, I don't remember, I want to say 25 of them away. Now that's nationwide, so what I'm saying is if you guys come in with the costumes and let's send them in. We have a store in any direction for more than an hour, and it'd be really nice to kind of represent on all that. So also, as always, please send your questions. It's twitter.com/callallheroes, facebook.com/callingallheroescomics, and now Instagram at callingallheroes.com.
Right.
So, all right, that's about everything. It's been a pretty cool week. I'm George. I'm joined by Wolz.
Hey.
Gary.
Yo-yo.
Now you got to come up with a word to say twice. Hey, because I got a hey, a yo-yo. And David.
I don't have nothing.
You love me on the spot.
Oh, I apologize.
Here's more 2 words.
I feel like everything is taken.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, and we will see you next week.